wrestling fans, this is Gene Ligon, Thunderfoot #2. You're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
For those who don't know, now you know, baby. This is Hot Rod Biggs, Jared, Jimmy Street. We're going to take them to the limit one more time, baby, right here on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast, and I am here, as always, with my brother from the same father and mother, Jared, the Plastic Sheik Street. What's up, Sheik?
Hey, brother, not much. What, are we calling you the Hustler? If we gave you that nickname? I mean, I know you asked Rip to use it in the Wolfie D show. I didn't know if we were...
Yeah, no, I mean, nobody, you don't know. You don't have to call me the Hustler. Just, you know, that's my lifestyle, I should say.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And I figured, why not ask him? You know, I've got the Hustler here. You know, might as well ask him.
Permission, yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, well, speaking of podcasts, our most recent podcast is crazy, man. Jamie Dundee's blowing up the charts. He's probably the quickest to the top 10 in a long, long time. And I feel like he's probably going to be number one in no time. It's been fun, Gator. We thank you.
Yeah.
For your service.
It doesn't surprise me with Jamie Dundee, though. I mean, it's...
Yeah, no doubt. He's a live wire. But that episode got some good responses. I think we got a lot of people listening to the show that maybe would have normally listened. So, you know, I love it when a plan comes together. So,
hey, yeah. Nice, Hannibal.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a good one today, Mr. Gene Ligon. He's one of those guys that's been around a long time, since the late 70s he started. So, you know, be prepared for some wrestling history to go on today's show, I think.
Yeah, I'm expecting, and I'm sure he's got some good stories to tell, and I'm positive we're going to hear some stuff about Crockett's and all that stuff that we loved growing up. So
yeah, and the Thunderfoot tag team with Joel Deaton.
Thunderfoot, yeah.
It was like something I always was curious about, because Thunderfoots is what they called them, the Thunderfoots, but that is not like Thunder Feet or Thunderfoot. And I think they were like, you're Thunderfoot 1 and Thunderfoot 2. That makes sense, like the Assassins, but it's not really grammatically correct, is it? Is Thunderfoot's right?
Yeah, I'm not an English major.
Yeah.
Thunder. I don't know.
Thunder.
I mean, because then you're talking about like a name, and I don't know. We'll go with Thunderfoots. I don't know.
Thunder Feet sounds better, but again,
but you think about it like a beloved cartoon and toy series, Thundercats. Right.
Thunder. Yeah. Kitties.
I mean, yeah.
I can just imagine Dusty. Yeah. Gene, Joe, y'all gonna be the Thunderfoots. You know, like,
if you will.
If you will. But yeah, I hope he tells that story. Of course, we're going to ask him that, so he'll tell it, I'm sure. But yeah, the Thunderfoot putting together. Joel's such a good dude. If you haven't, go listen to his episode on Live and in Color. And, you know, and Gene will be the part 2 of the Thunderfoot connection. But anyway, long story short, as I always say, we've got a great one today. I'm excited to see what he's got to say. And such a long-time North Carolina man. And yeah.
I'd say let's get it going.
All right. We'll be right back with Thunderfoot #2, Gene Ligon, after these messages.
Una silla de masajes puede parecer extravagante. 8 configuraciones diferentes, intensidad ajustable, además es calefaccionado. Y se siente tan bien. Sí, una silla de masajes puede parecer extravagante. Y 2, bueno, aún más. Pero cuando esas sillas de masajes vienen con un auto, se vuelven bastante prácticas. El nuevo Volkswagen Tiguan 2025 con funciones premium como los asientos delanteros con masaje disponibles. Solo parece extravagante.
Love espresso, drip coffee, and cold brew? With the Ninja Luxe Cafe, if you can crave it, you can brew it. Espresso, balanced. Drip coffee, rich. Cold brew in a flash. With Barista Assist technology, you brew with no stress and no guesswork and make perfect silky microfoam hands-free from dairy or plant-based milks. Shop the Ninja Luxe Cafe at ninjakitchen.com.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
You set the table, put on a playlist, even made the lasagna from scratch. And now you're wearing it. OxyClean Max Force Spray tackles tough, set-in stains the first time. Adulting is hard. Fighting stains shouldn't be. OxyClean Max Force. It's not clean unless it's OxyClean.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
One time they announced me from Charlotte, North Carolina. I said, whoa. He said, what? What's that? The guy looked at me like I said, because every night I was interested. Salisbury, North Carolina.
Right.
And all the fans that liked me said, man, you never forgot where you come from. I said, no, Salisbury, North Carolina. My name is Gene Ligon. That's birth name. And I'm Salisbury, North Carolina.
That's awesome.
And that's what he said. So one night he said, Charlotte, North Carolina. I said, whoa. And it was a good auditorium. Yeah. And I walked up and said, you need to do that over. And I was the baby face. Yeah. And he said, what's that? I said, it's Salisbury, North Carolina. He says, but Charlotte, Salisbury, what's the difference? I said, it's a difference. Yeah. So he stopped and he did it again from Salisbury. And everybody went, yeah.
That's great. There's a great place to eat there. I had to do an MRI. I had a back surgery a few years back, and I had a last minute MRI, and they booked me in at the Novant there, or it was a hospital there. And is it the College Inn or something?
Yeah, College Barbecue.
Yeah, man, that place is good. I just took a chance on it. I was like, this is way too busy in the middle of the day to pass this place up. And oh my goodness. Yeah. So
it's so good. There's so many people show up there.
Yeah, understand. Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I just took a chance on it. I was like, I'm just going to get, and I asked them in the drive-thru, I was like, what's the, best you got? What do y'all have? I've never eaten here. And they were like, oh, we've got this, 300 things they named off. And I was like, okay, let's just go with the basics. Let me try a hot dog. Let me try this. And man, so anytime we're near Salisbury, we always stop there just because it's just a chance we're going to take, so.
I moved up there when I was, I was raised in Charleston, South Carolina. I was born in Florida. Only stayed there a few months.
Okay.
So I was a baby. So,
yeah.
My mom was from Charleston. My dad was from Buffalo, South Carolina, which is near Union, Spartanburg.
Okay, yeah.
And they had met, Marine Corps, a whole bit, got married. 5 years after being married, they had me. Yeah. So I was down in Florida, being born in St. Petersburg. He was a traveling salesman selling medical stuff to pharmacists. Yeah. He always wanted to be the pharmacist. He said, I don't like being a salesman. Now, he realized being the salesman, you can make a whole lot more money.
Sure.
But being a pharmacist, he wanted that deal. But he only had a GED.
Okay.
He didn't realize a GED was equivalent to a high school education. He just thought, he got out of the Marine Corps, took the test, and passed it. He was one of the first ones to take the GED because it wasn't around before World War II.
Okay.
You want to get a job, you had to have a high school education.
Yeah.
They were pushing, get your high school education, get a better job, So he said, okay. So he got, he got the GED done. And so he was like, looking around, 1951, 52, and I was a baby, and he said, "I want to be a pharmacist." And so the guy said, "Well, you got to go to college." He said, "Yeah, I only have a high school education." So did you take a GED? The guy said, "Well, yeah." He said, "Well, that's good at high school." He said,
"Yeah,
you can go on your GI Bill, which was like $17 a month. That's what you got."
Wow, that's yeah.
College, he had to pay his way through college. He worked at a pharmacy in Charleston, South Carolina. Got paid $0.
Yeah,
clean every night. Guy worked him to death, but taught him how to be a pharmacist, and got his degree from Medical College Charleston with a 9th grade education. That's all he did.
Wow.
Took that GED test, 9th grade education. I said, "You still only know what you're doing in 9th grade." That's how much better education was back then. 9th grade education, you can go to college.
Right.
And so he got the degree. Next thing you know, 1955, I think it was, he got his degree, became a pharmacist.
Yeah.
He wanted to open his own store. He wanted to be an I'll have my own store. I was a little boy, I lived in Charleston, South Carolina. So we went down to Hollywood, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Dad had found a building there. It was empty. Started buying stuff to put a store together. He was, in debt, like $4,000 or $5,000. That's like, oh my God, a lot of money.
Right.
Started being a pharmacist. And the problem was in that town, it's a town of people.
Right.
A doctor there ran the town. He gave you medicine. He told you what to take. He was the king.
Yeah.
Dad coming to town, so this great little town. I'll have enough business, the only pharmacist, was a blinking light, basically. That was it. And, a few hundred people live in the area. So
yeah,
the doctor started antagonizing him and started filling prescriptions in the doctor's office. And Dad said, it's against the law. You can't do that. So Dad was struggling real hard. So finally, someone moved to Charleston. So that's where Mom was from. Went to open a store there, had a little house, and I'll find the house and send a picture of it. It's still there.
Yeah.
And you go, holy mackerel. And it looks terrible now, but back then it was a decent little house.
Yeah.
He started working and had his own store in Rexall drugstore in Charleston, Dorchester Avenue.
That's awesome.
And did that for about 4 or 5 years. And then they had the race riots, came to Charleston, South Carolina, all busted out all the glasses in the store. He's like, and the insurance will cover the first glass, but not the second glass.
Oh, man.
And they busted them out again. So he had plywood up on all the windows. It looked like he was going, not in business. And so he said, shoot, I'm going to have to close it down. So he shut it down, but he didn't declare bankruptcy because he was honorable enough to know I owe these different companies a total of about $20,000, which I know today that's nothing.
Right.
But when you're only earning 6,000 a year as a pharmacist, and that's what pharmacists pay.
Holy cow.
Now it's like 100-something thousand. But
yeah,
he's making 6,000 a year. He said, I'm going to move to Salisbury, North Carolina, the VA hospital up there. They're needing a pharmacist. So he moves to Salisbury, leaves us there till the school year's out. Then came back down and got us, and we drive that 1960 Buick all the way up to Salisbury, North Carolina. Granite Quarry is where we lived at, which is right outside Salisbury. And they started working in the VA. And we found a house there we could rent for like $40-something a month. The guy had built it himself. He said, well, you want to buy it? I said, yeah, how much would that be? He said, well, I'll finance it for you. So he financed it. It cost about $10 more a month, $50-something a month. And we lived there till I was 30.
Wow.
And my mom passed away about 8 years ago, and she was 90-something years old. And the house was selling for $125,000. They bought it for $7,000. And they said that this house worth $125,000. And the guy said, if it was in Cabarrus County, the house would be worth close to $300,000.
Yeah.
But it's Rowan cheap rent, cheap all this stuff. So that's where we lived. And I still go, man, I should have bought that house because Mom died. We were going to move in the house with her. And she says, no, it's going to cost too much to fix the house up. Y'all don't need to do that. Mom, we live in the basement. My wife, we don't have any children, so we live in the basement.
Yeah.
Because she was getting 90 years old, but she wasn't fragile.
Yeah.
But just want to be near her in case of something. But about 3 years later, she died in the hospital, swallowing food and choked on it and died. She didn't die.
My gosh.
I said, where were you guys at?
Right.
That was that. So I said, we could have moved into this house, could have bought it for, $120,000, give half of it to my brother. We keep it up. That way we've got a house. But now we got a house here, which cost us $175,000, and we just got our tax assessment in. Did you get yours?
Yeah, we sure did. Yeah. Have it.
I didn't realize I'm partial. I'm $340,000 value of this house now. I said, what did we do?
Right.
We put up blinds. That's good. And of course, they just passed the thing, get $60 million for renovating all the recreation. There may be a slight property tax increase. Well, there it came.
Yeah.
It doubled from 7 to 340. I said, man.
Right.
My neighbor across the street says, I got 3 houses on rent. He said, I became an instant millionaire.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's so funny, that house in Charleston's probably worth $2.5 million, even in the shape it's in now, because that place is so high priced.
I'll send you the picture, you'll know.
I'm just playing though. But my brother,
if they kept it up, made it look nice, everything, it would sell for a decent enough. But it's when we lived out in Hollywood, we lived on the water of the inlet coming into Hollywood. Yeah. And I look it up all the time. We lived on a plantation, a little small house. There was the plantation house, but there were several houses there that farmers used to live in, and slaves too. And we lived in a little cinder block house, which is about the size of that office you're in right now.
Okay.
We lived on the water. I'm like, this is nice. But then living on the water was considered low rent.
Right.
So it changed.
Right.
So when I took my wife out there, I said, let's go out and see it. We found it. Now, hey, there's the house we used to live in, but it's all gone now because a hurricane wiped it out.
Oh, man.
See the plantation house? It's just a nice looking house. It's not even fancy. But there was a house in the woods down the street there. I said, what that house was going for? It was a nice little house, wasn't nothing fancy. And of course, we looked up on the phone. It said, no, nice home, waterfront property, all this stuff, 2 acres of land. And I said, called the guy up. He said, we're going for $550 on this. $550.
Yeah.
See, it's got a waterfront property. And I said, thank you. And I said, well, here's what it is. They got waterfront when the water's in.
Right.
When it's out, you got a stinky marsh.
Yeah.
They only show you the house when the water's up.
Right.
So it's great. But that's it. So enough of that. So just tell you.
That's great. It's a great way to start the show. You know, what's funny is my brother and my father and a lot of his wife, my sister-in-law are all pharmacists. So you're home. You're home, Gene.
Don't ever believe the doctor.
Yeah.
When you go to the pharmacist, you say, hey, doc. I always call Doc. Hey, doc, what's up? My dad was called Doc all the time.
Yeah.
He said, the docs want me to take this. What do you suggest? He said, well, doctor, I'm asking you.
Yeah.
They don't know that. You know this. They are the prescriber. You are the facilitator.
Right.
I said, because my dad used to catch the doctors make mistakes all the time. They called and said, Doc, says, you got Mrs. Jones over here taking this for her medication. Yep, that's what I want to have. He said, what about the other stuff you gave her a year and a half ago? She still got it, you know.
Yeah.
No, she's still taking that. Yeah. Well, don't give her that. Don't give her that. He said, they're killing.
Kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, my dad had a young pharmacist. He was making $25,000 a year at Kroger in Salisbury. New pharmacy boy comes in to take, be an assistant. Dad was asking, so I said, we out of medicine, Mr. Ligon. He said, well, make some. I said, got all the stuff and all the materials are behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy brought it out, had everything you needed. He said, stir it up. So he started stirring up, and he's mixing it all together. He said, it won't mix. He said, what do you mean it won't mix? He said, well, I've added water to it and tried to stir it up. It's just all clotting up like crazy. He said, you added water? He said, he said, son, you add alcohol. You don't add water.
Yeah.
He said, don't you notice all the cough medicine has 2% alcohol, 12% alcohol, 80% alcohol?
Yeah.
He said, alcohol is a mixer. Water's not. Water's a separator.
Right.
He said, you don't know that? He said, we never were shown that. All we did was shown how to count pills and what pills will interact with the wrong pill.
Yeah.
So he said, and then he saw his paycheck. He was making $10,000 more a year than my father was as a rookie.
Oh, my gosh.
My dad was running the pharmacy, so the Kroger people didn't tell him. So Dad called the Kroger boss up and said, come here and talk. He said, I got the weekends. Dad would work the weekends the guy had during the week. because Dad liked the weekends. He'd see people, he talk politics. And he was a legislator, so that's why he worked weekends.
Yeah.
And he called him up and said, I see where my new assistant is getting paid $10,000 more than I am. He said, well, Brad, he's a new kid out of college. I said, well, why not get $10,000? He said, well, then that's your paycheck. That's what you agreed to. He said, I know, but I didn't know everybody was getting a raise. I didn't get one. You're getting ready to retire one day. He said, tell you what, it's Fridays tomorrow, right? He said, yeah. Got the other boy's off. He's gone. He's going to the beach. See you later. Bye. So Dad says, I'm supposed to be coming in. Yeah, I'm not. What do you mean you're not? He says, I might come down ill. And he said, and the rule was the pharmacy was open then.
Right.
Now they have it all enclosed. But at that time, if the pharmacy was an open pharmacy, you couldn't open the store. If the pharmacist wasn't there.
Holy cow.
They shut the pharmacy down and still have the store open.
Sure.
But Dad says, I won't be here. He said, well, we can't open the store. He said, yeah, I suggest you start talking to your boss about a raise. So I called him up and I said, Brad, we got the raise pushed through. We got you. We covered you. So he said, last paycheck, that was he was making $35,000 a year. But he liked politics more than anything. He was a legislator from Rowan County.
There you go.
North Carolina.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So he pulled a little little hard potato there. I ain't going to work. And Dad would never. He'd still come to work because he cared about the people who was sick. But he said, they're doing me wrong. I said, yeah, you got to go hardball, Dad.
Yeah. You have to.
Every year's paid him $10,000 less than what he deserves. So that's just little things. My dad was a good man. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, he raised a good man, too, and we're so happy to have you here. Thunderfoot Gene Ligon is with us here today on the show, and, I can't wait to get into more of this conversation. You've started us off so well. So, Jared, take the first question, if you don't mind.
So, Gene, this is a question I like to ask that starts out the conversation for us as far as wrestling goes, and it lets everybody know kind of your influences or who you like to watch or whatever. If you had like a Mount Rushmore, like 4 or 5 wrestlers that you really looked up to or really like to watch, who would that be?
Oh, Ole Anderson.
Boom.
Oh, love it.
Because he showed the toughness and also the mental part of the game.
Right.
The funny line I heard one time is the Ole and Gene and Arn were all sitting around, and all the guys were the guys love to rib each other like crazy. Boom, boom, boom. And who had the best comeback? So they were talking, yeah, wrestlers, yeah, sure, Anderson, y'all this, and y'all that. So, yeah. He said, and then Arn looked at him and said, well, all I know is this. We're the only team where everybody says, I don't know about everybody else, but the Anderson's matches are real.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Absolutely.
Still, Arn was beautiful, and Ole was good. But Ole would, if he wanted you to express something, he'd say, "Whoa!" You have to imagine anything at all. But I always watched Ole when I was younger. I watched him and said, "That's a tough man," and he was always very polite to me. I don't know. For some reason I didn't hang out with him or anything.
Sure.
But one time his boy was wrestling in high school. And they were traveling through the area, and they came up to Charlotte for business and everything. And he called me. He said, Gene, this is Ole Anderson. Hey, Mr. Anderson, how you doing? Listen, I'm in town for the weekend. My boy's with me. He's a little freshman. I think he's a freshman or sophomore in high school. And he thinks he's hot patootie. I said, really? Yeah. He said, I need some guys to work out with him. You got any buddies? I said, because he knew I had wrestling buddies and everything. I said, yeah, I got a buddy of mine in Gastonia. Where you going to be? He said, well, I'm in Charlotte at the Knights Inn, which that's typical Ole, the cheapest place he could find. And I said, well, let me call him up. So I called him. He said, yeah, we can meet over at the high school, at Hunter Huss High School in Gastonia. So I got a few of the boys. I'll get them lined up. And so it was near wrestling season anyway. So they were starting workouts. He said, what time will meet? I said, I said, make it 1 o'clock. So we drive over to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like school wasn't going on at the time. So get there, and all of a sudden got these black kids there, a couple of redneck country boys, and here's Ole's boy. And Ole's boy in shape, looked good, but he's wrestling in Georgia. There ain't a whole lot of wrestling going on in Georgia out in the middle of the country where you be wrestling top wrestlers. You know, you're gonna meet. I tell my kids I coach wrestling with. I said, listen, we went to the conference and you did really well. You came in first place, second place. I had 3 guys, first, second, and third. This year I had 3 guys get 1 second and 2/3. But it's a conference match. You're wrestling guys who are in your conference, which is your equals. You're the same guys. When we go to regionals, you're not going to leave guys who are not wrestlers. You'll meet a guy who is a wrestler, and the guys that's on a wrestling team, and then there's wrestlers. I said, and I go out there, I got that, just like that, boom. I said, how'd that go? He picked me up like I was nothing. I said, yeah. I said, you've been wrestling with guys. Today you met a guy who's a wrestler.
Right.
There's a big difference. And Ole Anderson is a wrestler. And so he said, I said, you're telling your boy he should do this and this and this, and he ain't listening. He said, he don't listen to me. I said, you're too close. I said, as the Bible tells you, I said, a prophet in his own land has no ability to, he's yeah. That's why Jesus wasn't accepted that quickly because that's so-and-so's boy.
Right. Mary and Joseph's. He's from around the corner. Yeah.
He used to work on wood. What does he think he is? Oh, my God, you kidding me? Right. He's a prophet in his own land. He can tell them the absolute truth, and it ain't good enough. I said, Ole, that's what prophet is. He says, yeah. He said, he won't listen to me. I said, well, he'll listen today. So they go down there, and I'm still on the mat. I can still roll around with the kids. And I said, all right, come on here, Anderson. And he comes out there, gets on the mat. And he goes against, I said, this kid's a freshman. He said, yeah. See, freshman, boom, 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 pow, hit it. Watch it. Hop up. You want to do it again? Let's go. He got decked so many times. And he had good ability, but he just didn't have the experience. And these kids were just country boys and just, street kids that just were tough. Yeah. And they whooped him all day long. And always over just smiling on the inside. Like his humbleness, he's getting humbled big time. By the end of practice, the kid had a different attitude.
Oh, I'm sure. I bet.
He thought he was beating everybody in town at his house, and he couldn't even get off the mat. 45 seconds, decked. Decked. He said, all these guys got experience. He said, they're all freshmen. Huh? Yeah, they're all freshmen. And none of them seniors out here. We brought the seniors out here to make you cry.
Right.
So that was good there. And then the kid got better as the years went by, of course. But Ole Anderson, he was tough guy. Yeah, and Arn loved Arn. Arn's same thing. So I put them sort of like intertwined. And I mean, Gene was a hero. You watched him as a boy growing up. You saw the Andersons. Wow, man, that's the tough. He don't look very strong, but man, he makes those guys cry when he squeezes them. I mean, Gene was just tough. He could take a beating, and you know what? Sometimes you take a beating and you end up winning because you can take it for a while, and all of a sudden, bam! Gene Anderson one time had a stroke. I don't know if y'all ever heard this story or not. And he had a little stroke, and he always had that little tick thing, but he had a stroke. So they go to the doctor, and he had, he didn't stroke completely out. He was still mentally capable, but it affected his arm, and his arm was weak. So they take him to the doctor, and Sandy Scott take him. Well, Sandy is like funniest to me. So they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, Mr. Anderson, what seems to be a problem? I had a little bit of a stroke. I think I had a little bit of stroke. It's starting to affect my right hand. I'm losing strength. He said, well, squeeze my finger, Mr. Anderson. And Gene looked over at Sandy and he said, Sandy? And Sandy said, Gene, do what the doctor told you. Squeeze his finger. Okay. So he grabs the doctor's 3 little fingers right there and squeezes them. And as the doctor goes to his knee, he's saying, no, that's not. Whoa, that's not. You've had a stroke and you've almost broke my hand. Good thing I had a stroke, Doc. he could snap pliers in his hands. There's certain guys have tendon strength. Right. They don't muscular, but they just crack. There was another guy I never met, but they said he'd walk up and he'd grab a pair of pliers. throw them up.
Yeah.
Just tremendous power in their hands. Difference in weightlifting guys now and guys who just had this natural power about them.
There's natural strength.
I watched all them guys going up. I said, thought you could. The Nelson Roll told me one time. Nelson Roll, another hero too. Nelson Roll told me one time. He said the difference in now, which was 1985, 86, and when he wrestled, he said there's some battles, some legit stuff going on. And said, everybody talks about it's fake. Well, torn. I got replaced shoulder. And had this thing operated on twice on this side. Got a torn tricep, had it applied. Torn hamstring. Both knees, had one knee replaced. One's been operated. It all came from wrestling. It didn't come from me playing football or anything. It came from
it don't feel very fake, does it?
My fake injuries. so
right.
And so he said that, he had a match one time where the guy was a bit of a jerk. And they throw punches at each other. Sometimes it's called a potato when you accidentally hit a guy too hard. And, it could be stiff. Once. And then the next one would be light. And you realize the guy just timing was off. But he said this guy was laying potatoes in. And all of a sudden, here comes another potato. And another potato. He said, son of a gun. So he realized, he said, no, I'm not going to get him now. I'll get him later.
Right.
And he done knocked him almost completely out. He later got beat. I got pinned. So he said 5 years later. I said, 5 years? He said, 5 years later, we've had several matches together. We've been, rode together, driving together. But now we've got this big battle thing lined up where me and him are going at it. And so basically renewing what they did 5 years ago. And he said, get ready to get in the ring. And so shot the guy off. He said, duck. And as he ducked, uppercut.
Mm.
Oh. He laid on top of him and says, I told you I'd get you. next time it happens, I'll kill you. And they'd kill each other.
Wow.
I said, she didn't want to make no enemies in the old days. I only got cut up by a knife one time in a match in Greenville, South Carolina.
I've heard that.
He was sitting with himself together as he pounded on the guy as he's holding his guts together. I said, holy cow. Not that tough. I'm not that tough.
Yeah.
I was that tough. I could do that. No, that hurt.
Yeah.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you. Ooh. Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family.
We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
This summer, try the new Strato Frappuccino blended beverage at Starbucks. It's the classic blended iced coffee you know and love, now topped with a creamy layer of handcrafted brown sugar cold foam. Available for a limited time. Your Strato Frappuccino is ready at Starbucks.
Tore my pec one time in a match. I said, well, I got to at least be as good as Ole Anderson. So I'm sitting there going, tore my pec at Florence, South Carolina, and the guy dropped a knee on it, and I said, popped it. It just, I was numb. That's all right. I got up and I flexed. That thing rolled right over here. I went, oh no, I ain't having this. So finished the match. So I go to the emergency room, and the doctor says, so Dr. Gibbons, do that. He said, yeah. He called interns over here. Brought all these like 6 or 7 interns over. They stood there in front of me. I'm looking at all these rookies. I'm like, what the heck? He said, sir, flex your chest. So I flexed. That thing rolled right over, He said, ladies and gentlemen, this is what's known as a torn pectoralis major muscle. Thank you, Mr. Ligon. I said, do I get any help here? He said, I suggest you go see your doctor when you get home and get it operated on. You got a week or so. I said, okay. He said, they'll tie it back on. It's not a big of a deal. But if you leave it alone, it'll just stay curled up. I said, I don't want to be curled up. That looks ugly. And you want to have a chest that's, instead of going, ooh, what's that hole in your chest?
Yeah.
So I went and I had to wrestle. I wrestled that Saturday, and I had a match in Asheville, North Carolina the following day. So I'm sitting here in pain. And it wasn't hurt bad, like sharp pain. It's just dull. It just hurt. So I get the next morning. I didn't tell my mom and dad. Next morning, my head in Asheville. And I'm sitting there, my arm hanging down. It's starting to turn black because the blood's starting to pool. It's starting to turn black. I'm like, oh gosh, I can still move it around. You still have capability. It's just a little funny, It's not quite right. So I go up there. The guy that's wrestling there, what was his? I can't think of his. I'll think of, but he was Lee Ramsey. Lee Ramsey was the guy I'm wrestling. Now Lee was a little guy. We were both rookie guys, basically. Yeah. So Lee said, what are we going to do, Gene? I said, I'll do a couple of this, but I said, I can't take a fall. I can't take a bump because my shoulder is killing me. My chest is killing me. He said, don't worry about it. So we lock up. And doing out habits out of habits, first thing he does is tears the arm off and does the twist thing. I went, I said, Lee. I'm sorry. And he couldn't undo his thinking. Because you had these little routines you get in your head. Shoot a guy off, give him an elbow, backdrop, stuff, bop, 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 bop. It's the habits. And I'm sitting there going, Lee, I said, so Lee shoots me off, gives me an elbow to the chest, boom, I hit the ground. And the whole time he's thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? I said, you're killing me is what you're doing. So I'm still taking the bumps. And finally, he goes up for a drop kick. And I swapped his hands, feet away from him. He falls. I crawled on top of him. I said, don't you get up. 1, 2, 3. I guess, So I crawled out. The guy's ready. I still raised the wrong arm. So I get in the car. I go home that night. The next morning, it's black. My whole arm, blood's run down. So I go to the doctor. He said, we got to have it operated. Have a surgery Thursday. I said, okay. So in my head, I'm thinking, I don't have any insurance. I've saved my money up from wrestling. It's going to be all gone by the time I'm done. And I said, okay. So I go Tuesday. He said, you're in Spartanburg. I went, oh, man, what am I going to tell somebody don't book me? Because you die for bookings. You die for them. And I said, I can't tell them don't book me. So, okay. So I go down to Spartanburg, South Carolina. We got the Rock and Roll Express. I said, oh, my gosh, going to be drop kicks like crazy. Now, and so I go to back. No, it wasn't Spartanburg. I'm sorry. It was at Gaffney, South Carolina, Tuesday night.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And, it might have been a Monday night. But it's Gaffney, South Carolina at the college there, Limestone College. And we're there, and I go back to the dressing room, and I knock on the doors with Rock Roll over there. Jay, what's up? We got you tonight, right? I said, yeah, I got me tonight. Said, and it was Tuesday night. Tuesday night, because we did TV taping. So we got you for TV? I said, I know. I said, listen, I can't take a bump. I'm sitting here sweating with pain right now. It's hurting. I can take pain, but this is hurting. He said, who you got tagging with you? I said, it's a new kid. He said, let him start. Because the old guy starts. The experienced guy always starts first and then tags out to the rookie guy to get his butt handed to him. So that's what the guys did to each other. He said, don't start and don't come in. I said, and don't tag. I said, okay. So I'm sitting on the sideline, got my hand on the turnbuckle right here, rope right here, and he said, you ready to go? I said, go ahead and start. Oh, you start? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that all right. Yeah. I was in there, and of course they shooting back and forth, boom, 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 boom. He's done about 5 or 6 bumps already. He reaches over to tag me, and I'm kind of like looking the other way. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the tag. so we're sitting there, and they beat him. And I go back finally. So that Thursday, I had surgery. I had it put back together, and I show up about a week later at Crockett Promotions. I think it was a Monday. Might have been Monday because that's when you had Fayetteville. I'm sitting there going, Mr. Crockett. And I'm asking Mr. Crockett for a loan. Now, I want to ask my mom and dad because, it's a thing. You got to be a man. I asked my mom and dad for money. So I go, Mr. Crockett, can I borrow $1,500? He said, well, Gene, I don't loan money to wrestlers. There's a real good reason why, because they skip. They just take. But I'm from here, Mr. Crockett, because I'm different than the rest of you. I'm treat me special. He said, no, Gene, I don't loan money to wrestlers. I made that a policy. I went, okay, I just take it like this. And I'm sitting there, and, I never had a conversation with Mr. Crockett more than 2 seconds, but we'd had about a 5-minute conversation. I got to know. And I'm getting ready to get up, and just that moment, the door comes slamming wide open. And there's Dusty Rhodes in his glory. Dadgummit. He didn't say dadgummit. Son of a gun. He didn't say son of a gun. Down there in Atlanta, Georgia last night, wrestling. He's refereeing. He drunk as a skunk during the match, and he's in a jail or something. He can't be at the match tonight because I fired him. I got nobody to referee the matches in Fayetteville for tonight. And I said, I'm in a sling. I got my arm in a sling right here. I'm like, okay, be stupid. I can do it. Ligon, how are you going to do it with a sling on? So I pulled my arm out of my sling and put it in my pocket. And I stood there and I jumped down on the ground like a burpee. Jumped down, went 1, 2, 3. I got back up with one hand because one hand push-up. That was nothing. And one hand push-up, got back up and said, is there anything else I need to do? He said, well, that about covers it right there. The rest of it was just about walking around pointing and stuff. The rest of it hit the ground 1, 2, 3, get back up. I said, that's it? He said, yeah. He said, be in Fayetteville tonight, be there by 7 o'clock. I said, all right. You got a shirt? I said, I got a refereeing shirt from high school. I used to referee high school matches and college matches in college. I said, I still get the uniform. I got white shoes, though. He said, don't worry about your shoes. I'm not going to buy a brand new pair of black shoes. I said, I got some white tennis shoes. He said, that'd be good enough. Be in Fayetteville. All right. So I get to Fayetteville, and Johnny Weaver is the guy organizing everything. What are you doing here, Ligon? I said, I'm the ref. He said, you're the ref. All right. Because he was going to have to ref. He said, well, I'm glad you have to do it. He said, yeah. I said, I'll be doing reffing for a while because of his shoulder. He said, or his pec. He said, all right. So I did the wrestling, got up, and went home that night. And I went, okay, how sore am I going to be tomorrow? So I got this sling going on. I was substitute teaching at the same time at the middle school. $20 a day, gentlemen. Big money. $20. And so I substitute teach, and they beat me on my beeper, which was costing me like $11 a month. Beep, beep. Ooh, I call. Yeah, y'all call? I said, yeah. Ligon, can you be at so-and-so referee tonight? I said, yeah. Yeah, you got to move somebody around. So I had to drive 3 hours. I said, I might be a little bit late because no problem. So I get there right before the bell. I'm walking in with the shirts on. Boom, boom. Ring the bell. Let's do it. Ding, 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 ding. And back home. I'm laying in bed at night. I get home at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm laying there like this. And the school would call you at 5 a.m. in the morning because they got to get their organized. Ring, 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 ring. Hello. Mr. Ligon, yes. This is Mr. Johnson down at North Rowan Middle School. Can you come in and substitute day? I said, sure. Goodbye. And as a minute goes by, I said, who just called? I don't even know who called. Totally. Now I'm trying to figure out who am I supposed to go to. So finally I just take a guess. It's got to be Rowan Middle. Everybody skips Rowan Middle. So I go to Rowan. Am I supposed to be here today? Yes, sure. Okay. So I started getting a little note here. West Rowan High School, East Rowan High School. They had to write them down because you forgot. But I got called from Rowan, North Rowan all the time. And then we lined up. I see Crockett and them were trying to do some expanding because they were getting punked out by WWF. But all the videos they do live and on traveling and stuff like that. They want to start traveling. How can we do videotaping and find venues to do videotaping instead of just doing it in a studio, which looks so lame? I said, I know people at school system. How's that going to help? I can get you in a school. You can get us in a school. Yeah, I'll get you in a school. And I was substituting North Rowan. They needed my butt.
Yeah.
They called me every day. So I went to school. I said, we're trying to raise money, Mr. Ligon. I said, how would y'all like to raise $2,000 or $3,000 in one night? Get out of here. How are you going to do that? I said, have a pro wrestling match. And they all went, oh, are you kidding me? Pro wrestling match? There's no way they'd come to our school. I said, they will if I ask. So, of course, I already knew they were looking for a place.
Yeah.
If I give them a phone call, they may come because I have all this power. So I said, and Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Vang was the hot thing at the time. He was hot. He was the hottest thing on TV. So we're sitting there, and I said, I can get you at North Rowan High School. He said, well, so they all came. The electrician guys came down and looked at it. Said, hey, got power from that source over there. It's going to be on the edge of using so much power, it may blow the system. But they felt like they were within the window. I said, yeah. So it holds about 1,500 people with seats on the floor. I said, when's the last time we had 1,500 people at a TV tape?
Yeah.
Never. I said, that's right. Never. So 1,500, they had a contract deal. It was $10 to come to the match, like $10 from ringside. It was $8 for general admission. And if you fill the whole place up, $1,500, I mean, you're talking $1,500. You're talking about it's a $10,000 or $12,000 night. So you could get 30% after the first $2,000.
Yeah.
So the school would end up making $3-4 grand.
Which you told them, yeah.
So I'm saying, guys, do you think you can pack it out? I said, I think we can. So when they came down, I said, we have a railroad car system, a railroad system here in Spencer, North Carolina. It's the historic transportation facility.
Right.
My dad was in the legislature. He got funding because this town was wanting to upfit everything. He said, we get some grants there. So my dad was very, very high in responsive to that thing. And they had just finished making it beautiful. They added much more to it now. But I said, they started talking around and said, think the Boogie Woogie Man will do good here? I said, you're doggone right. So they put him in the train. If you find the old videos of Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man riding in the train, doing his thing, he's like boom, 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 boom. And I said, there it is. And he went to the high school that afternoon because we were done taping, got done by 3:30, 4 o'clock. Well, actually about 2 o'clock. So we go into school, the kids are still there. And he's walking through. He looks like an old man with long hair, right? Not an old man, but just like had the beard, the whole thing. And they walk, hey, Mr. Ligon, how you doing, Coach? I said, pretty good. I said, look at that over there. He said, who's that? I said, you don't know who that is? No, it says Boogie. Hey, Boogie. What's Boogie doing here? Oh, we got wrestling here tonight. Yeah, and Boogie came early just to meet you guys. That ain't Boogie. And I said, I looked over at Boogie. He was about, 150 feet away. I said, Boogie, do Boogie. He went, he said, it is Boogie. The whole school emptied out in the hallway. I mean, everybody's running around screaming, Boogie Woogie's here, Boogie Woogie. Black kids loved him to death. They loved him to death.
Yeah.
And that night, I got to pull another power play. I'm helping to get tickets at the front door. We're packed. We're filled up. I'm going to pack it out, have them flowing out the door. But they had rules and regulations on fire code. Mm-hmm. And here comes the fire marshal walking up with about 3 of his buddies. And I know most of them. I said, what's up, guys? Look, man, you're overcrowded. We can't have this many people here. You got to cut it off right now. We got about 30 more people wanting to come in. General admission. I said, listen, we got these 30 people. Well, they're going to be left out. I'm sorry, they can't come in. We're overcrowded. I said, okay. I said, the fire law is the fire law. As they were saying it, they walked past me. I said, well, where are you guys going? Well, we're going to go watch the matches. I said, you just told me that we're at capacity. That means if you go in there, you're breaking the law. because you pass capacity. Said, yeah, but that's, I said, yeah. I said, but 30 more people's not going to make that much difference. He said, get him in here, but cut it off now. So we got the last bunch in because they've been standing in line for hours. I said, come on, yeah, quick. No more. So and it ended up pretty good. Had a great night. School raised about $3,000 to $4,000 that night. And they said, when can we do this again? They didn't want to have popcorn or drinks inside. I said, they just done the floor. I said, you need to get over it. You need to have have some popcorn, lots of ice. But don't leave a mess. I said, go to your janitor over there. Tell him you're going to give him $100. He will say, mess it up as bad as you want. At that time, he's probably getting $5 an hour. He had to stay after. So you give him a crisp $100 bill cash under the table. Here, keep it clean. He'll hire 4 or 5 of his little student buddies, and he'll give them all $5 a piece, and they'll be happy as can be. And he was very happy with that $100. And so we did that at West Rowan, East Rowan, South Rowan, went to all the schools in the area and was able to, then they started going to other schools and other venues and stuff like that. So it kind of saved them a little bit because they were trying to find a place to have matches. I said, I got places. Every school wants to know, how'd y'all make that money at a wrestling match?
That's
awesome.
Can
we do that?
Yeah. So that's very cool. Yeah. Well, so Gene, man, this has been amazing so far. I barely hate to stop this progression.
Not asleep.
No, sir. No. I was just curious about your start in wrestling, your official start. When was that, and how did that happen?
I was teaching at West Rowan my second year in teaching. My first year in teaching, I was at Kings Mountain Elementary School System. I was a PE teacher for elementary kids. Loved it. I am calling a wrestling match that night at I think it was East Gaston High School. And a girl I dated, we went to see a wrestling match the week earlier and I think it was in Charlotte, or it might have been Charlotte, might have been Greensboro, of Swede Hansen and Rip Hawk, Loser Leave Town.
Oh, yeah.
And they were best of buddies, and all of a sudden, boom, y'all, now they're hated enemies. They had beaten each other up badly and said, this is the final match. Loser leave town. So we'd go to the match. She'd never been in a pro wrestling match. I'd only seen one at a small venue, which I watched, Don Pernoodle versus a guy as a rookie, and it was at Shelby, North Carolina. So we go, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun and bloody. They were beating, hit them with pipes on their head and stuff. and so I'm refereeing a high school wrestling match, and all of a sudden she comes out of the ring, out of the match is over with. She comes running down the stairs. You won't believe who's here. I said, why? It's just a little high school, no big thing.
Yeah.
The guys we watched last night wrestle, one of them's here. I said, who? And I looked up, and here comes Rip Hawk. Son of a gun. And I introduced hi, Mr. Hansen. I'm Gene Ligon. He said, well, I'm not Hansen, I'm Hawk. I said, I'm in Hawk. I said, I saw your match last other night. It was great. He said, I saw you out here moving around a little bit. So why are you here? He said, my son's a heavyweight. I said, he beat his guy that night. I said, oh, your son's a heavyweight. Yeah. I said, man, that's amazing. He said, why don't you come up to Kings Mountain this weekend? You know where that's at? I said, yeah, I know where it's at. And so I was teaching there. So I said, yeah, come on up. He said, at the big recreation basketball court they have there, we're having wrestling there all weekend. We're doing 6 weeks worth of taping in 3 days. I'm like, Sheik. It's like almost 24/7. They were doing this. They had Mil Mascaras. They had the Kangaroos, Cannonball, somebody. I can't think of their names. But they had all these guys. Rick McGraw. They had Rick McGraw. Rick McGraw was a great wrestler in the Charlotte area. And I'm refereeing against these guys all the time. So I'm like, okay. So I go there, and I'm watching. And it's cool. And Rick McGraw is sitting here sweating bullets because he's got to go do the announcing. They got him in a tuxedo announcing. He don't want to talk to nobody. He's just coming out of high school or college, don't talk. So I'm like, I said, you can do it, Rick. Get up there. He did a good job. He did the whole thing, and that's the last time they let him do it. After that, they made him wrestle. But I met all the guys from the old WWF, Chicago area, the New York area. I got Mil Mascaras. I mean, I'd seen him on TV incidentally in different things. There was no YouTube or anything, so I'd see him on TV, change the antenna around. What is that? Who's these guys wrestling? There was no cable. There was none of that stuff. So we just watched on regular TV. And occasionally you'd see a match out of Florida, and there'd be Gordon Soley, on UHF channel. You're kind of tuning it in to try to get a picture. And that's what you'd see. But you have to do it late at night. And that's how I got introduced to meeting some real people who were in it. And then a year later, I'm at West Rowan High School as a coach because I always wanted to coach. And I was teaching these kids. I should have stood with the kids because that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. I retired in Kings Mountain by now. But I went to West Rowan. I was a wrestling coach there. All my kids there, we were like little brothers of mine. We used to pretend we were Ric Flair. We'd chop each other during wrestling practice. They'd be arrested for doing the things we
Right.
But they're all my boys, right? My boys. Come here, coach. They'd pop me on the chest. I go, mosquitoes. Just mosquitoes. And then when they weren't looking, I go, pow! Oh! And they go, mosquitoes. So that's how we had fun.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen. And keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
Hey, it's Paris. I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This is Kroll, and you're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling with Jimmy Street and Jarrett the Plastic Sheik. Be sure to like, subscribe, and view all of our USWO and Saw Wrestling content at Nashville Wrestling Network, exclusively on YouTube.
So one night we all went to a wrestling match and watched it and everything. He said, Coach, you ought to be a wrestler. I said, I weigh 160 pounds soaking wet. I'm going to be a pro wrestler. Sure. I liked it, but I was strong enough to do it, but I was too small. A light heavyweight maybe. And so I go to TV. I'm watching TV. I said, man, a new company, the IWA. Who's this guy? Oh, yeah. That guy's got Bulldog Brower. It's just all these different guys' names. I'll think in a little bit. But anyway, I said, I want to send off a letter. So I said, if you like try out for wrestling, come on down. You can be a wrestler. I said, okay. So I sent a letter off. They said, and I got back, said, come down and on Sunday at the Triad Arena. Now, where the heck is the Triad Arena? There's no GPS or anything like that. You got a map. Fine. There it is. I-40. Get on I-40, boom, little place they had hockey games at. They used to have hockey. So I go there, and big old burly guys out there. I've told this story so many times. Big old burly guy, looks like your brother. Big, but he had a beard, long hair. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm 160 pounds. This guy's 270, 280. I'm like, oh Lord. I don't know if we're supposed to fight that day or what, but we're there. And 40 other guys showed up. I'm like, okay, this guy went, how you doing? He got like, A guy named Chuck, and Chuck was as nice as can be. And we, what are you doing? So we sit there, man. He was from Albemarle, and I was from Salisbury, so we got along good. So we go into the place, the back of the arena. They got a ring set up. Wow, Dino Bravo showed up. Whoa, Dino Bravo. Bulldog Brower, Johnny Powers. Johnny Powers,
okay.
Johnny Powers was there. He was the man, right? He was tall guy, put together pretty good. Until he had a wig on, but that was his thing. And so we get in the ring, and there's 40 of us on the outside of the ring, some on the ground, some hanging on the ropes. And I'm kind of looking at him because I want to get his attention somehow. I'm just look at him. I'm going to act like a jerk. I'm not going to brag about it. I'm going to look at him straight in the eye. As he's instructing how to do something, he's looking around. He sees me looking. He said, "You, come here." I'm like, "Oh, what'd I do? What'd I do? They're going to get me and beat me up." Oh, no. And I brought one of my wrestlers with me just in case, because I had a little redheaded boy that would fight the world and whoop. If anybody jumps me, get ready. It's going to be one of those.
Right.
I'd back him. He'd back me, and we're ready to go. But so we're sitting there. I get in the ring, and Johnny's put the headlock on me. That's how we do a headlock. Got to lift the head up a little bit. Yeah. You know, proper positioning. You take a guy over. He said, "I'm going to take you over." Ryan took me over. It didn't hurt me. He said, "You're trying not to injure the guy, but we will make sure it's properly done." And everything, because you can do it proper. You can do it improper and hurt somebody, not mean to. So he said, "I tell you, let's get clear the ring here. Clear the ring." I said, "Stay here." So you come. Okay, what am I staying for? Across the ring is the big burly guy. I said, "This guy outweighs me double, easy." I don't know how strong he is, but it's going to be a fight. I'm like, oh gosh, and I'm thinking we're going for it here. And I'm like swallowing my courage. Come on, come up somewhere. I'll take you on, but my gosh. And he says, "I'll tell you what I want you to do. I want you to run towards him, and you're in a corner over here. You lift your foot up, put it in his chest, and kick him back." I said, "That sounds like gymnastics to me. That's fun." I was a gymnast in college. So I said, "All right." So I go running to the guy hard as I can. He brings one foot up, puts it right on my jaw. Bam. I hit the ground. Bam. I said, and I can figure, not coordinated very well. He probably didn't mean to do that. But what got me hot was when I hit the ground, busted my lip. I'm like, son of a. He looked down and went, I went, oh, that's the way it's going to be. So I spun around, got back up, and I looked at Johnny Powers. And I said, "Tell him to charge me." He said, "What?" I said, "Tell him to charge me. He got me. I'm getting him. That's the way I do it." He said, "Okay. Let's see how you do it." Well, I knew in gymnastics I can do it, what they call L seat. And a lever where you pull yourself up and you're flat as just like that. Okay. So he comes flying in at me, and I put both feet up. Pow! Both cheeks. Bam! Boom! Hit the ground. Boom. Down on my. I didn't. I felt bad. I said, "Oh God, I might have knocked the guy out." I said, "Yeah, all right?" "Yeah," and just as soft a voice. "Yeah, I guess I'm okay." And he got up and just as sweet a kid as you're gonna meet. He was so scared when he first met us all. He didn't want to be tough, but he was a tennis coach at the recreation department in Lexington, North Carolina. 300 pounds, coaching, teaching tennis to old. Okay. And he was raised by older people and everything like that. Good guy, Ken Hopkins. He's dead now. Died a couple years ago. He never really wrestled. He never got his chance to do anything. He just was just a big old burly boy that wanted to beat somebody. And that was how I got into wrestling. 3 weeks later, we had practice every Sunday. And on the third Sunday, they walked and said, "Gene, we need to talk." He goes, "Yes, sir. What can I do?" "Got a contract right here. Get you in wrestling." I said, "Man, I'm thinking NFL type thing. Here we go. We can sign me for like $3,000 because at that time a teacher made $8,000 a year. So I'm thinking I can make. He said, "It's going to cost you $1,500 for a 6-week training cycle. Yeah, and you feel like you need to go on from that." Well, I said, $1,500? Yeah. Well, that's 2 months' pay. That's more than 2 months' pay because they take taxes out. I said, "Well, I can't do that." He said, "What do you mean you can't do it?" He said, "It's just $1,500. That's quick. We'll actually finance it for you. We'll do it." I said, No. I said, "I just don't think it's for me." So I said, "I'll see you later." I said, "I don't have the money." So I left. I wasn't going to ask my mom and daddy for it. So just because they say you're out of your mind. I go home. They said, how'd it go? I said, it was tough. I said, but they wanted some money to teach us how to do it. And I ain't paying somebody to teach me how to wrestle. So months go by. It's summertime, June, July. And get a phone call. We're having lunch with my mom and dad. Dad came home for lunch on the weekend, on a Saturday. Got a little quick lunch in. And we're sitting there, listen to Paul Hardy, WSAT Radio.
The best.
That's right, Paul Hardy. Listen to him every Saturday morning if I'm something to eat. And we're sitting there eating sandwich, all of a sudden phone ring. Ring, ring, ring. And I had to get up, pick the phone up. Hello? May I speak to Gene Ligon? I'm like, hello. Let's see. Sounds like a voice I've heard on TV. It's Johnny Powers. I said, this is Gene Ligon. Gene Ligon, this is Johnny Powers. I said, hey, Powers, how you doing? I need you in Roxborough, North Carolina tonight at 7 o'clock for a wrestling match. But I haven't been trained or anything. Just bring your tights and your shoes, your boots, and your trunks, and we'll see you there at 7 o'clock. By the way, could you bring your friend Chuck with you? Sure. I hang up. I call Chuck. Chuck, what are you doing tonight? Nothing. We got to wrestle tonight. We got to wrestle. Yeah. Meet me at my house at 4 o'clock. So we don't know where we're going. Got to find a place. Roxborough, North Carolina. Where the heck is that? It's above Greensboro up towards the Virginia area. So I'm like, okay. So we get in the car and we're riding. He used to travel. He was a meat deliverer, so he was used to traveling all these roads. He said, I can find it. So he's riding. We go to Roxborough, North Carolina. We don't know anything. We're all along the way. We're trying to figure out like two little brothers right there. Like I'm looking at two brothers right now. All right, listen, I'll give you a hip toss. You hit the ground, you go ow, 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 and then get up and give me a shoulder shot. Do something, body slam me up, and then at the end of the whole thing, I'll flip over the top ropes. He said, yeah, you do that flip thing over the top rope, sunset flip. So I said, I'll just flip this, jerk the rope, I'll fly over it, boom, boom, roll you up, 1, 2, 3, win. So, but what if we're wrestling against two other guys? Well, you box, I wrestle. I'll take it, and when they get up, you punch it because he's a boxer. he could punch. I said, because we'll be in a fight. But we got to fool these guys to believe that we're fighting each other so they know we're not cheating them because they're going to pay us to do something. I don't want to think y'all fake the whole thing. We can't fake it. We got to lay it in there. So we're throwing punches at each other, big parts of the body, blah, blah, and we wanted to be creative. So the first thing we reached out to shake hands. He said, "I won't shake your hand. I'll look at you like and look at you like you're a piece of crap." I said, "Okay." I stick my hand out. Hey, and he goes, huh, and looks the other way, and I go, "Shake my hand." And he said, huh, look the other way, and this time I reached my hand out again. He looks down at it and goes, whap, right across my face. Boom! I hit the ground. About knocked me out because he's not used to. He can't pull a punch because he's a boxer. Right. His whole hand, like those things, slap contest. I'm like, my head's on the rope. I'm like, I said, "This is my friend." He said, "Look on your face." I knew I was in trouble. I got up. I said, "Here we go." So we started locking up, doing those, and we went for 20 minutes, exhausted ourselves. We were so tired, and we go back to the dressing room, and he's on his side, I'm on my side. And our guys, they're not sweating, they're not breathing hard. They're all smoking cigarettes. I don't smoke. I don't drink. He don't drink. He don't smoke. I'm like, what'd you see? He said, man, they don't look like they're in shape, but they ain't none of them sweating. They ain't none of them tired. They're like, I'm worried. I'm passed out in the shower, laying in the shower, turning the water on. I said, me too. I said, these guys are amazing. They don't look in shape, but they're in the most shape of America ever was. I didn't realize it's work. Oh. Didn't realize that for 20 matches. We're crap at each other. Finally, one night, Johnny Powers looked at me and said, go next door and talk to the guy who was the light heavyweight champion of the world. I think his name. But he could talk to him and said, okay. So I said, for what? He said, talk to him about a match. I talked matches. Okay. I go there and said, his name. I said, how you doing? He said, yeah. He said, hey, Gene, I've got a match for you. Yeah. Tell you what, we'll do a little this, a little that. He didn't say anything. He said, we'll do this and that. I'll put a sleeper on you and it'll be over with. But meanwhile, we'll just kind of bounce around. I'll flip you around. You flip me. I'll call you in the ring. I said, okay. I said, okay. I said, man, so we're not trying to beat each other up or anything? He said, oh, no. I said, no, I'd get killed. I said, I got guys out there, they kill me in a matter of a second, but they don't know how to perform. I'm like, oh, okay. So I never had such relief come over me in my life because I don't want to fight, but you know, if I have to, you have to, right?
Right.
But the guy's he's going to help you out. Rip, his name was Rip Tyler. The top, Buzz Tyler and Rip Tyler. They were tagging.
Okay. So
Rip Tyler was the light heavy, and Rip was just a great guy. And but he walked me through the whole thing. He did duck under. I didn't do it quite right. I did it more like a high school wrestler would. But they have their way of doing it in pro wrestling that's slightly different, but more presentable to the crowd. If you go so fast, nobody sees it. He said the beauty thing about pro wrestling is when you go to do something, you could do it a whole lot faster, but nobody's going to see it.
Yeah.
They to see the move where they duck under somebody, go behind, pick the guy up, and then dump him instead of doing a boom, boom, boom. They might be looking down, look up what happened.
Right.
You
right.
You have to tell the story in a protracted way, slowly but surely, but not
Shakespeare.
It's all Shakespeare. And so I was so happy. That's how I got it. And the last match that IWA had me versus Rip Tyler, and they let me take the title that night. I felt bad. I said, no, I don't get it. You're sure title? He said, no, it's the last night. They want to give it to somebody. I said, oh. He said, you don't want it anyway because you have to carry that stupid belt around with you. So you're going to win the belt, and they're going to take the belt. I said, oh, cool. So he did that. And Chuck was refereeing that match that night, and he's just doing the best he can. He went 1, 2, 3. And I got him on, yeah. And Rip looked at me and said, boy, you screwed up now. They always ribbing each other. So he goes, Chuck, screwed up, man. That wasn't supposed to happen. And Chuck's like, oh. He said, don't worry about it. You did fine. And so that was, they said, man, I win the title and close the company. What the heck? And then it's podcast and y'all shut down. What day? So what happened to Jimmy? I don't know. Ligon talked and the whole place shut down after that.
That's funny.
Where'd y'all go to high school?
Lebanon High School in Virginia near Bristol, Tennessee. Lebanon High School.
Oh.
Yeah, very, very small town, 3,000 people. But yeah.
Lebanon. Yeah. I know Lebanon, been there.
Yeah. You probably have. And that's the sad part is we missed all this great wrestling before we were born. But, you know.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Becoming the most valuable sports franchise in the world doesn't happen without risk. A man who's willing to bet it all, and the players ready to make their own luck. America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, is the story of the 1990s Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones's impact on NFL history. Featuring interviews with iconic 90s players and more. Watch America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, streaming now only on Netflix.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
Hi, this is Mike Needham, host of the Reckless Abandon Podcast with Mike Needham. We invite you to jump on your favorite podcast platform and search for the Reckless Abandon Podcast and give us a listen. I'm sometimes joined by a part-time podcaster, part-time co-host, and full-time wife, Tiffany Nicole. We talk wrestling, we talk pop culture, we talk local events, local happenings in West Tennessee, and a ton of other stuff. But be sure to check out the Reckless Abandon Podcast. Find us on Facebook. Also, look up the Microgroup Podcasting family on Facebook and see some of our other podcasts we have out there. Until next time, make good choices and always remember, no dollar, no dice.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jimmy Street, and that was episode 13 of the Best of James Rock Street Productions, with the first half of episode 56 of Gene Ligon on Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling. Gene's a great guy and has some incredible stories from his time in the business. I got to meet him at the Mid-Atlantic Fan Fest reunion a couple years ago and absolutely loved his work as a Thunderfoot with Joel Deaton. You can hear the full episode and more over on @GMBMPW or Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling wherever you listen to podcasts, or simply click the link in the notes below. We hope you've enjoyed a look back in the archives of James Rock Street Productions. Check us out next week to see what else we have in store. Until then, follow @GMBMPW and @JamesRockStreet everywhere. Peace.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
This has been a James Rock Street production.